Hello again and welcome to the Sheer Growth Podcast. I'm your host, James Sheerin. On today's episode, we have Cheryl Broom, a marketing leader with a strong background in helping brands grow through strategic, results-driven campaigns in the graduation sector of universities. So Cheryl, maybe you could give us a little bit of info about your business, your journey so far, and where you position yourself in the market.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me on the podcast. I'm really excited to be here. So I am the CEO of GradComm, and we are a higher education agency that specializes in community and technical colleges. So we're really niched. The business started, I actually was a marketing director at a community college here in San Diego. And I had that job for about 10 years before I was recruited away to open a West Coast office for another higher education agency. During COVID in 2020, I was like, you know what? Why am I doing all this work for somebody else? I want to go and do this for myself. So I started my own company. Gosh, within a week, I had 2 clients. And then within 6 months, I had 10. And then fast forward to today, we've serviced over 150 community colleges nationwide in the United States. We're really niched. We do some work with 4-year universities, but we've really found our specialty in helping those 2-year colleges and their unique challenges.
That's amazing and congratulations.
Yeah.
But if you rewind back to that time during the pandemic and getting those first couple of clients, what did you do and how did you reach out to these community colleges? Obviously, you've got a good network already. Or did it come from
Yeah.
that existing network?
100%. Because my career was working in community colleges, I had been part of organizations, I had gone to conferences. So I just started making phone calls and letting people know I'm here to help. One of the key things in our industry is a lot of community colleges, they have to market their programs because they get apportionment dollars. Every student in their seats they get funding for. They don't get students in the seats, they have to lay off. Most of their marketing departments are one person, and that person also is the chief of staff for the president. So I knew there was a need there, and it was just working my networks. And then in COVID, asking, how can I help? I mean, we were doing things like editing videos from Zoom meetings to send out to students and just any way that we could come in and support. In many ways, it was a perfect time to start the business because the need was so great for communications.
A lot of people, or founders, should I say, or co-founders, they set up their own agency because they've either worked in the space before and they've got a couple of clients that they can take over, which gives them that kickstart. You mentioned, that you came in and you offered some services and those services expanded. Over the last 6 years, you would have refined and expanded those services. So what are the kind of services that you offer to these colleges?
Our favorite thing to offer, or at least ones that our staff and employees love to do the most, is rebrands. That's something that we specialize in. Those projects don't come around that often, but we do help with everything from taglines to mottos to college seals to logos. This last year, we even helped community college launch a mascot. We've renamed colleges. So those are the big projects. And if you were ask my employees, they're like, that's all we want to do. But it's not every day that a college rebrands. That's a big deal. So mostly what we do is help launch new programs. So we'll come in, a college has a new program, a new service. We'll do a little bit of research. We'll come up with a strategic plan, and then we'll implement for them. So we do a lot of media buying. We do a lot of digital buys. Last year, I think we did over 4 million in digital media buying for community colleges, and then about another million in traditional media buy. My employees are like, no more media buys, but that's actually what's paying the bills.
Yeah,
Is
big
launching
revenue.
programs, promoting programs, getting the word out.
Absolutely. And this is super niche and it's not an area which I'm an expert in. So how do you position yourself and differentiate yourself from some of your competitors?
We try to position ourselves as the leading national agency for community college marketing. We do have some competitors in our space. We have other agencies that we compete against that make the same claims. So we've even gone deeper to differentiate ourselves within that space. Myself and our chief strategist come from community college backgrounds. So we've worked on the campus, we've worked for presidents. We tell our clients, you don't need to teach us any acronyms. I mean, higher ed loves acronyms. Everything's an acronym. We're asked to make acronyms all the time. We tell them no more acronyms. You can't remember all of them. But we come in, we understand the structure, the governance. Something unique about higher education that a lot of people outside the industry can't understand is oftentimes like collegiality and shared governance, shared decision making is considered to be something more important, something greater than speed and efficiency and cost. So colleges will choose partners who can help them navigate processes, make sure faculty are heard, students are heard, the right conversations are had. That's more important to them than saving money or saving time. So other agencies come in and can get frustrated because something that should take 2 weeks, 4 weeks can take 3 months, 6 months, just because you have to go through the process. And that's something that we understand really well. This last year, what I'm seeing that we're actually trying to reposition ourselves and deal with is we're seeing large companies that have never been in the community college space now competing with us. I think it might be the state of our industry. I mean, I'm competing against agencies that are working with Starbucks and Nike. I'm like, what are you guys doing working with community colleges? And some of the contracts, they'd never be interested in it. The size or the scope of work is something I think they would pass on. Now I'm going up against these big brand companies and trying to really lean into that expertise more. But that's been a challenge for us, for sure.
The biggest changes that you're seeing now is these bigger agencies entering the arena and competing
Oh,
with you.
100%. Yeah, we just had this like wonderful RFP. We were chosen top 3. I mean, this was for like a full rebrand of a college, renaming it, everything. So it's like right up our alley. This is what we specialize in. We've done this for other community colleges. We have great samples. We have a process mapped out that we know works. And we actually lost the bid to an international company that has worked with like Fortune 500 companies and has just this amazing portfolio of working with these big brands. And I know they probably came in on the interview and did a big razzle dazzle show. I mean, it's such a shiny object. Like, wow, we're this small little college, but we get to work with a company that helped Nike or is the agency for Reebok or whatever. And it's like, this company clearly doesn't know your space, but it's easy to get caught up in like the glamour of that. So we're trying to do some reflection ourselves, like, how do we be more glamorous? I mean, we have the process, we have the experience, but maybe we need a little bit more of that like razzle dazzle.
I think it's that kind of shiny object syndrome, though.
100%.
People see, we're now entering the arena where big agencies are really interested in us, so we should go with them. But actually, working with someone like GradComm, who specializes in that vertical, that would make more sense. You've got the case studies, you work with not their competitors per se, but other community colleges, you can deliver results. So how do you feel like you're going to overcome this particular challenge then moving forward?
So we're going to keep leaning into our expertise and really let colleges know that we know where things can go wrong in these processes. Like we know where mistakes have been made, where people have gotten upset, where projects have slowed down, and we know how to deal with that and lead the college through it. A lot of times these bigger agencies will come in and then 6 months or a year later, colleges will come back to us. So they'll come back and be like, it didn't work out. We didn't get what we want. We had to let them go, or the project completely stalled. And that's because they're working with agencies that work with for-profit companies that are all about profit and speed and efficiency. And on the other side, like, no, we're about talking and collegiality and learning and having this be a process that people enjoy. And so there's such a different way of managing these projects. So we see a lot of our lost bids come back to us. We try not to get too upset when that happens. I'm always like, you'll be back. I'll see you in 6 months. But we're really also trying to focus on storytelling. I think when we did some reflection after this last bid that we lost, we are like, well, maybe we're not telling a good enough story, like coming in and helping a college get through some of these difficult questions and how we did that and what they were up against and why our process worked. So sometimes I think, we're so confident in the processes we've set up, like for a brand or for a big media buy, that we forget to tell the story behind it. And so that's something that we're really focusing on this year, is that better storytelling.
I think that's how to break through the noise these days as well, in such a saturated market, especially in the agency space. And you mentioned before that media buying was something that keeps the lights on, it brings a lot of the revenue in. Is that the biggest growth driver for you at the moment?
Yes, and it has been since the beginning. I'm trying to think of what percentage of our revenue is media buying, but I would say it's probably half, because colleges can't implement a lot of what we do. So we'll do the implementation for them. So we'll come in, do the research, do the creative, do the strategy, and then they can't do it. And a lot of times it's just because of purchasing. Their purchasing departments are inundated. There's two people working in a college with 18,000 students. They don't want to book Meta and do SEM. They don't want to do all of that. It's too much work. Our staff have become experts in digital media buying, but when we surveyed our staff on what they love the most and hate the most, media buying is what they hate the most. So I had to come back as CEO and be like, I know you guys might not love it, but this is what's keeping the lights on and giving us the results we need to show like, hey, these things work. I think that we've become experts in that space. We work with a platform here. It's an international platform, but here in the US, it's called Local IQ. And so there are partners. We work with them and use their expertise to book all the media, which has taken away some of our overhead as an agency and then given us access to experts on each platform, which our clients really like. So they've been a great partner. We'll bring them in to explain certain platforms, and our clients really, really appreciate like that additional layer of expertise.
Sounds like a really interesting platform. And obviously, media buying's been there from the start, 50%, and you've got staff
Yeah.
that would prefer to do other stuff.
Yeah.
From a client point of view, what are clients asking for more of today than let's say, they would have done 2 years into your journey?
I tell you that what they're asking less of is writing. So we used to do a ton of writing. I mean, we used to have a full-time writer on staff, and now we don't. Our creative director will lean in and do writing, and we've developed an AI tool to help colleges with their writing needs. But I think with AI coming in, I mean, we just are not getting writing requests, newsletter requests, magazine requests. Like 2 years ago, we were making magazines for colleges. We were doing monthly e-newsletters to reach alumni, and that has all gone away. So we're seeing more and more requests for AI related products and services. I see that as a big growth potential for us, and less on that like day-to-day helping colleges get the work done. So strategy's been growing, thought leadership has been growing, AI tools have been growing, but like the traditional writing, graphic design assistance, that's definitely been shrinking.
Yeah, I think those are two areas which are definitely getting more advanced from the AI point of view. And what are you currently using AI for within your business?
So for operations, we've built a bunch of custom tools for ourselves. So because I'm in the public space here in the United States, community and technical colleges are typically public. And so when I respond to a proposal that's over a certain money threshold, they have to go to bid. So I have to do all these bids all the time. Bids are just such a pain.
Yep.
It's like the bid is like 100 pages long and half of it's purchasing jargon. And I used to spend 40 hours a week writing bids, answering bids. And we built a bid writing assistant that has all of our case studies, our philosophies, our processes, our business information. And now I can take bids and put in the questions, and it gives me a full draft that I edit. So that has taken me from like 40-hour jobs to maybe 6 to 8 in doing these bids. It's been like magical for me. It's been wonderful. I still have to go in and edit and put my thinking in and make changes, but it just has helped so tremendously. We have an operational custom AI tool that we've built for ourselves for our client services managers or account executives, that they can go in and ask about client questions, and that will come back with, well, here's how we've solved it in the past, or here's some ideas based on our philosophy, our media buying philosophy for colleges. So we have a lot of inside agency tools like that. We have a case study generator. You can like dump in all the reports for college and and a proposal, and it will come back with the case study written for you with the word count that the designer needs to lay in. So that took our case studies from like 20 hours to 2 hours. So we've built a lot of tools that have helped us become more efficient. We brought on an operations director last year, and she's a total like AI junkie. And she's just been like, let's make a tool, let's make a tool, let's make a tool. And it's been fantastic. So in fact, the bid writing tool was so amazing for me. I thought this is something colleges need, because our bid writing tool is based on our brand. It knows what our values are. It knows how we talk. So we started a pilot group with 5 of colleges and asked if they would help us kind of build the tool and test it out for a year. And then we've launched that tool nationwide in January. And now we have some other colleges interested in it as well. So it's just a ChatGPT custom build, but it's trained on the college brand, their voice, their brand guidelines, where they're located, what's important to them, their accreditation documents, their catalog. And the colleges that have worked with us on it absolutely love it. So I hope that's a new revenue pipeline for us. We have about 10 colleges on board now, and we'll see how many more we get this year.
Well, it's super exciting. You've proven it works for yourself and you save so much time, and packaging that up and offering it as a service, I think is a great opportunity. Do you see any other opportunities with AI inside an agency like yours, apart from, let's say, the bid writing tool that you've created?
Yeah, we just started using AI for some campaign images. So obviously, like in graphic design, it's helpful. We don't use AI to write any of our clients' content. So we tell our clients everything that we do is written. Campaign headlines, post copy is written by our creative director. Unless they want us to build them a custom AI tool. If we build them a custom AI writing tool, then we can use that to write their campaign copy and save them money. The cost of the tool will pay for itself in like 2 months, because we don't have to pay an hourly rate to a writer. So that's kind of something internal. Like our creative director loves to use the client AI tools. It's built with industry knowledge and what community colleges want to talk about. And it saves him hours of time that he can do other things for. So I think, there's so many tools out there, videos. I speak at a lot of conferences, and we have an internship program. That's something that's part of our mission and values, is we want community college interns to work for us, and we pay them. A lot of community college students don't make a lot of money. So I don't believe in unpaid internships. It's very inequitable for students to have to give up their time and not get paid. So if anybody's listening and knows a great community college student that wants a marketing internship, we pay, and it's virtual. So I went to a conference and I spoke about trends that we saw last year in the $4 million of digital media buying that we did for community colleges. What were some of the big takeaways? And I asked him to write a story about how a community college student makes a decision to apply and attend, and then to make it into a video. And he used AI for everything. And it came out like amazing. And I think people were more interested about my AI video than they were about my speech. I had so many colleges write me afterwards. How did you make that AI video? What tools did you use? And it was an intern. I mean, that was a beautiful thing. It was a 19-year-old college student that went and made this like video that garnered so much interest. So there's just so many tools out there. It's exciting. And at the same time, it is a little scary.
These interns are at the front of the AI growth period. So these people are going to be the adopters, the ones that are going to take it through to the next level. So it is a really interesting time. I'm also interested if there's any other areas in your business that you feel are maybe a little bit, still a bit more manual or time heavy or harder to scale than they should be. Obviously, one of them being the bid writing. Would you say, is there anything else operationally that you feel that you could improve with AI?
I bet my operations director, when she hears this, is like jumping up and down. I'm like, yes. There are some things that I wish that AI could help with, but I'm not sure how it would do it, like having colleges make decisions faster. Actually, that's something interesting that a vendor came to us that we're testing out, that maybe this is something where we could get better at. We do a lot of our own marketing. So I do a monthly podcast like you with a guest, and then a monthly podcast where I just talk about a trend, a quick take, like a 10-minute trend. We do a monthly blog, we do a monthly video blog, we do weekly e-newsletters. So we do a ton of marketing. And that a lot of that is still manual, though our AI tools have helped tremendously with that. But we were approached by one of our vendors that we use for postal mail that they can now automate. If somebody comes to our website, they can automate emails directly to that person for the sales funnel. So somebody visits a page, they get an invitation to connect with me, and then they get like a series of 12 additional emails that we used our AI tool to write that kind of gets them through the sales pipeline. So I'm really excited to launch that because I think that's where, for me personally, as CEO, I do new business. Like, I wish I could make this faster and less manual. But for me, a lot of the slowdown is them making a decision and not necessarily my outreach or marketing. But yeah, that's one area where I think, we're still pretty manual. I'm still sending personal messages, connecting with people on LinkedIn, going to conferences. And so we'll see where AI can lean in and help with
Okay.
that.
Absolutely. I think it's great to share those challenges. And moving into a few more challenges, what would you say outside of the manual process that you're doing there would be the biggest challenges to scaling your business even more in 2026?
It's really it's kind of external, to tell you the truth. I wish there was something that I could fix to scaling. I feel like we've hit a really great point. We hit a great revenue mark last year. And I'm pushing now the business to see if we can hit the next one. And I think it's the economy, it's uncertainty. A lot of our clients are just taking longer. We track our win rate and we track our time to decision, and we are just seeing time to decision become longer and longer and longer. And our win rate is shrinking. And so that's my biggest challenge right now, is not just seeing these big agencies come in and compete in a space that we dominated, but also just people are taking longer to make decisions, even in the government sector. I think budgets are uncertain. Our political environment here in the United States has created a lot of uncertainty. And when people are uncertain, they tend to not make decisions. So that's why we're like, let's get our AI tools out. We're offering smaller packages that colleges can do smaller things, can kind of get their feet wet in certain areas. So we're trying to find ways to get people moving, but not take such a big bite, maybe be a little bit more comfortable with signing those initial contracts.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you've got the kind of public sector organizations that you work with. They have different thresholds, don't they? And you mentioned if it goes over a certain budget, you have to go to an RFP. And, many moons ago, I used to work for a company that did something similar, and we were going into the government sector in the UK. And what we found was, to actually get through the door, sometimes if you can get under a certain threshold, you can actually deal with them direct, get a deal over the line, you become a supplier on their supply list. And then actually, when they do have a bigger opportunity, they come to you first. And yeah, if it is above that threshold that you have to go into an RFP anyway, then fine. But at least you got your foot in your door, you got a bit of revenue coming in, you can prove that you've got case studies working with them. But it sounds like you're already doing that, Cheryl.
Yeah, and I used to have a rule that I would only apply for RFPs if I had a relationship with the college already. And I pretty much still follow that rule, though sometimes some of them come out, like the one I talked about losing to the big agency, where I'm like, this is too good to pass up. But there are agencies like mine, like we usually have worked with the colleges purchasing us, force them to go out to bid, and they already know who they're going to pick. A lot of times it's just, it's a waste of time for everybody. It's a waste of time for us. It's a waste of time for the client. It's a waste of time for purchasing, but the government has made these rules and there's no way around them. So typically that's my rule, is I already work with them, or I met them at a conference and they're like, hey, we have to bid and we really want you to be part of the pool. Then we'll put the time and effort in. But most other time I'll pass, just because I know there's another agency doing the same thing and I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah. No, I think that's wise. I think you got to spend your time wisely. And I think that's a good rule. If you've got a relationship, then put your sword in there, give it a go.
Yeah, exactly. Or if a personal invitation came through, we had a college reach out that I'd never even heard of a couple of weeks ago with a bid, and they had seen our company speak and subscribe to our newsletter. And they're like, we really hope you go apply to this bid. And I've never even heard of them before, but I'm like, well, they know who we are and it's a personal invitation. So definitely are going to go for that one. We have some states here in the US where they have to bid $6,500 or more. So it's like they have to bid like photocopy paper. Like, it's ridiculous. So then other states like California, the bid limit is over 100,000. So those can be some really great projects where they can come direct.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
talking about these big projects and your future growth, where do you see your agency in the next 12 to 24 months?
I really see us leaning into our AI products. In fact, as you and I speak right now, our operations director is at a national community college conference teaching community college administrators how to build custom GPT tools. Where, I really see that as part of our future. We were just asked, we won a bid a couple weeks ago for a video project, and then the HR department asked the marketing director, hey, can they help us with this employee manual? It's like 200 pages long and nobody ever reads it. Maybe we can design it so that they can read it better. And we came back and we're like, well, yeah, we can definitely redesign your PDF, but why don't we make you like a searchable AI tool where people can just come in and ask their questions and find where it is in the document rather than having like a beautiful PDF. So they were like, they hadn't thought of that. So I see those solutions being kind of where we're going is how do we solve things with an AI first lens or technology first lens? I think that's a great growth opportunity for us. And then helping colleges identify AI tools that can help them do their jobs better. Doing a lot more training and education, I think, is going to be key as well. We're also right up against what's called here in the United States the demographic cliff. So 2025 was our largest graduating class of high schoolers, followed by 2026 in like the last 30 years. And then basically people in like the 2000 to 2010s like stopped having as many babies. So every year there's like going to be less and less and less people graduating from high school. But there's still the same number of colleges, and now they're competing for a smaller pool. So I think competition's really going to heat up. Colleges are turning towards those adult learners that don't have a college degree. That's becoming a huge area of focus for us is adults like 25 and older that might have some college but never graduated. So we're seeing, a lot more campaigns for them. We're seeing colleges starting to reinvent themselves because they have to. Nobody can spend 4 or 5 years in college anymore. They need a career, they need a job, they need flexibility. Programs are being created. So there's space for innovation in higher education, and I'm positioning us as a leader in some of those conversations.
Do you see from a revenue standpoint, then, the cost of being able to go to these colleges and universities and you're in this space, do you see that coming down so the entry becomes a lot more accessible for people?
Yeah, so for community and technical colleges here in California, for high school students, they're completely free. Then students, if their students are full-time, if they're part-time, they still pay a portion of their tuition. But we even have colleges now that are implementing like zero cost textbook. This is the latest proposal that I just wrote that we're going to start working on next month. And so they have a group of faculty across 10 programs who have committed to teaching their curriculum without having students ever having to buy a textbook. So we're helping the college make icons for these programs, communicate to students how you find them. Like basically colleges are now like, we're going to be totally free. Like we have food for you. We have housing for you. We have free parking for you. We have free bus passes, tuition's free, textbooks are free. So they're really lowering the cost of entry for students. But what they don't think about is telling students this. So we come in a lot of times where they're like, we've launched this new program, we've done this, we've done that, but we still don't have enrollments. It's like, well, how have you communicated this to the community? That they still need so much help with that. Even the zero cost textbook program, when I spoke to the dean, I said, they've started to offer some programs that have zero cost textbooks. And I said, well, do you have an icon in the class schedule that distinguishes that they're no cost? And she goes, oh, that's a great idea. So, well, how will students know that they're no cost? How have you told them? And they hadn't, because they're academics. This is not their line of work. And that's where I get excited, because then I come in and our company comes in and we help them. And then, 2 semesters later, all these classes are full, and that's really rewarding for us.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal to
That's
achieve
the goal.
that.
Yeah.
So, from someone who's built a successful agency, what do you feel separates a successful agency from those that struggle? What do you think? What would your advice be to anyone out there that might be struggling building an agency? It doesn't have to be in your niche, but what do you think separates the successful ones for the ones that struggle?
I really think it's creating a great experience for the client. We have client success managers are amazing. We make sure that they're not completely overloaded. They are in touch with their clients. They're offering ideas. They're offering suggestions. They respond within like an hour or two to a client need, to a client question. We really put that customer service first. Then our clients get special opportunities for webinars. I mean, we've had webinars with Google's higher education experts. I've been able to take people to Google's campus in Menlo Park. We offer our clients special things that they can't get elsewhere. We stay on top of higher education trends. When we see something that could be an opportunity for them to shine, we send that out. We even do like welcome boxes. Like when you become a client, you get a great welcome box with some fun things inside and a personal welcome. So we really try to create an experience. And when we take over for another agency, which happens a lot, especially if colleges have been working with an agency that's not higher education focused, they will come to us. I think that's like 75% of our clients. We get that way, that they're not happy with their current agency. And after a couple months with us, I'll come back and ask, how are we doing? What is the difference between working with us and your past agency? And it always comes down to that client experience. Like, we know you're there, you're going to answer our questions, you know what you're talking about. We've gotten so much value. And so I think that is what separates you as an agency, is that value you're bringing to your client and the experience that you're offering them. So of course you do great creative. Everybody does good creative. Everybody has strategy. But when they feel like they can trust you and you have their back and you're there for them, that's the difference that makes them stick around.
I think that's a great definition of how to be successful, because I think everyone's looking for that new client all the time, and how do we get the next piece of business? But when you've got someone on your lap that has already invested in you, and you invest in them back, you're just going to extend the time of period that relationship is going to last for. So I think
Well, I'll
that's
tell
a
you
great
too.
learning.
Our first, last year we hit 5 years. And so we thought, okay, so for our 5-year anniversary, let's donate $500 to student scholarships at the colleges from our first 5 clients. So let's identify who are our first 5 clients. We want to donate $500 for student scholarships. And what I realized is every single one, the first 5 client is still our client. So 5 years later, we had done media buying, branding, we had done so many projects with these colleges. Then that raised the question, well, how many clients have we retained? And we're at like a 90% retention mark with our clients. And we're almost entirely project-based, because government doesn't do agency of record contracts. And I think that speaks highly to the service that, all of our client success managers are giving and our agency gives as a whole.
Well, Cheryl, it's been absolutely insightful learning more about your business do you call it graduate communications, or GradComm for short?
Yeah, well, we started out with graduate communications. When I decided to open the agency, I was thinking, what should I call it? And I used to be an educator, I used to teach communication classes. And I looked back, like the proudest I ever was as a professor was on graduation day. That's like the pinnacle of being a faculty member, is seeing your students succeed and get their diploma and their families are there. So that's why I named the company Graduate Communications. And then what happened is everyone just started calling us GradComm. So we rebranded 2 years ago, and now we call ourselves that as well. So yeah, GradComm, and that's how you can find us.
Well, brilliant. I was going to get into that. So where can people find out about you? And also, Cheryl, who are you outside of work? You've got a family,
Yeah.
you're based in LA. Maybe just tell us a little bit about that, and then share where people can find you online.
Great. Well, James, you and I connected when we talked before over soccer or football.
That's right, football.
And we're we're a huge soccer family. I probably on a soccer field 5 days a week. I have 2 boys. My older son is 17. He's going to play collegiate soccer either in the UK or here in California. So he's still making his decision. And my younger son we thought maybe the younger son would go a different path, but no, he's a number 10 as well. They both play the same position. They're both left-footed. So we're on the soccer field a lot. And my husband and older son and I are also surfers. We grew up surfing. We live about a mile from the beach in San Diego. So yeah, we have just a wonderful life here with our kids. And the college I worked on is actually in my backyard. I can see the college I used to work for from my backyard. So it's still connected to that institution, which is really special. And yeah, we love to travel. and be outside as much as we can. But I do have to correct you because we're not in LA. So James just visited LA and was like, I wasn't a big fan of it. We are in San Diego, which
San
if you come
Diego, yeah.
back to California, you got to go to San Diego because that's my favorite place in the world. And we have great beaches and great food and just wonderful people.
And you're not far from Mexico either, so you can walk
We
across the
are
border.
we are not far from Mexico, and Mexico is fantastic. So we go to Mexico at least once a year. So we're really lucky. And yeah, if people want to look me up, I'm really active on LinkedIn. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are on LinkedIn. It's a great business strategy, fantastic place to make connections. And you can just look me up by my full name, Cheryl Broom. And then our website's gradcomm.com, and maybe you'll get an email because we're going to turn on that automated email cycle in a week or so. And so maybe if you visit, you'll see how that works.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate your time, Cheryl. We've been going for some time now, and I'm sure we could go on a lot longer, but we'll end the episode there. And I appreciate everyone that's tuned in for our conversation, and tune in for the next episode by following us on YouTube, Spotify, and soon to be Apple Music as well. Thanks again, Cheryl.
Thank you.